Because pride supports all love and weakens hatred.
Because we all deserve our happily ever after.
Because my love is not inferior.
Because it's not just a phase.
Because I feel threatened.
Because there are more of us than they say there are.
Because people still want to know who I really am.
Because we constantly have to fight for the same rights
because
and we
there
are
is an
never
opinion
truly calm.
There is
because
no
I
such
want to
thing
feel
here.
accepted
Because
at
it's
home.
time that Koroška
Because my
wakes up.
parents support
Because
me.
I've heard it hundreds of
Because
times.
there are still many homophobic and transphobic
Because I don't want to hide anymore. Because I am because I would like to comment my jokes that I can't in my personality. For our lives we feel is justified.
Because of all the feminists, because we're always the first with being trans does not mean we're the best of all.
Because still acceptable.
When I was younger, I had very little contact with what meant to be not straight and not cis, and that affected how I saw myself and how I saw other LGBTIQ plus people. And I realized what I was missing here in a very, very small town of Slovenia when I was growing up, that being especially open conversation, public debate about LGBTIQ plus people rights, different issues that we deal with on everyday basis.
LGBT community, organized community in the Slovenian countryside, especially in Koroška, Carinthia, is invisible, non-existent.
You're not really exposed to anything different and everything fits into a perfect bubble, and if something does not fit, we just pretend it does not exist and we make it go away as far as possible as to not get corrupted in any way. And pretty much everyone here does what is expected of them. You go to school, you get a job, you get married, you pop out a few kids, and then you eventually grow old and you watch your kids do the same thing. And that's what's normal here. And if you do not wish for that kind of lifestyle, well then there must be something really wrong with you. And I think that this mentality applies to many people here, especially older generations. I think mainly because people here haven't had the opportunity to leave our small community and experience the bigger world through their own eyes. And yeah, how can you expect somebody to love and to understand all the beautiful diversity our world has to offer if you are taught from a young age that there is just one perfect way to be and one perfect way to live?
To imagine a lively, full LGBT scene in the form of a colorful mix of cultural, social, political, artistic, activist programs is difficult in these remote, many times conservative, many times distinctly Catholic places where life flows very slowly. Combine a geography that does not favor massive socializing, an environment that does not favor diversity, and ourselves, LGBT individuals who do not feel truly welcome. And you get a tradition of hiding, social censorship, partial or complete suppression of oneself, and waiting for an escape.
There's not as much like pure hate towards the LGBTIQ plus community, and there's just more of not knowing how to ask, what to ask, who to ask. And people just stay ignorant because I think it's easier this way.
I would say that our community here is still not in a place of total acceptance. There are certainly worse places to grow up as an LGBTQI person. And don't get me wrong, discrimination is present around all corners, but not in the sense of truly open hatred or violence. I think it's mainly just verbal acts of violence.
The biggest problem are the homophobic jokes, the verbal discrimination, the weird looks. There is no public physical violence. I believe there may be some at home. I personally saw the change in the atmosphere when I came back home last year. I was very anxious about other people knowing about my sexual orientation, even if I was out publicly for 5-ish years. It's just because that you expect people to not be supportive, and I think that takes a lot of energy and unnecessary hiding and the overthinking that you just won't be accepted for who you are.
I think of myself 10-15 years ago. I think of a child who has been stereotyped and discriminated against before she knew what those concepts even mean. I think of a teenager who has always been labeled a rebel because she was thinking differently. Teenager forced to adopt that same rebellious identity so that she could feel like a part of something, even if only as an opposition. I think about a high school student who hid her first girlfriend from her liberal, accepting, loving parents because she knew that acceptance and kindness ends at their doorstep. I think of how my experience was, because of all that love, not very difficult, and I think of how that's not a reality behind the doors of many neighbor houses. How bizarre to feel lucky. I think of hiding in the dark corners of the woods and the forgotten streets, dates always after dark. I think of all the poems in which I changed the pronouns when reading them aloud. I think of holding hands. I held hands with a girl for the first time as a student in my 20s. It felt like a statement. I think of how much easier it would be for me if there was a group I could join, a second family I could choose. A community where I would look for friends who are not latently homophobic, a group that supports me in my artistic expression, that gives me a helping hand, a shoulder to cry on, encouragement, security. A place where I could be a little more me.
That's why I joined a team of young girls that are preparing the first Pride Parade here in Koroška. And with that we hope to broaden some horizons, to challenge everyone to question their privileges, to question their behavior towards LGBTIQ plus people.
Yeah, I hope we get to show all LGBTQI plus persons here that we are here to stay, and we will embrace them with our open arms.
I hope that with our project, the Koroška Pride Parade, we show young LGBTIQ plus people that they do have a strong support, and we just would love to see that young LGBT people do have a safe place to go to. They do have people that were in the same position as they maybe are now.
Because I wonder a lot who I would be today if I had that possibility, and to make sure that in the places I call home, no one is deprived of it anymore.